OriginClear is doing some innovative things with water and trying to position the company and society for the future of water. And with me is the CEO, Riggs Eckelberry, to talk about what's going on. And Riggs, it was so interesting to see how hot water tech is. There's a new unicorn, basically a $1 billion valuation of a private company that is in this space. So tell me about that and just the whole industry in general, where it's at right now.
Well, first of all, I'm so sorry that I'm not with you physically because A, I love being with you, but also the amazing food in New York and hanging out with Vince and the team. But at least we'll get the news across. You're right that water tech is heating up. In fact, Gradiant, which was incubated at MIT, became a unicorn this week. It was the biggest deal on Crunchbase. And what's interesting is that they're not doing what ththey've chosen is to really focus on water-heavy industries, pharmaceutical, chip companies, food and beverage. When you make beer, it takes 7 or 8 liters of water to make 1 liter of beer, for example, right? So they've really chosen to focus in on that. But in fact, so are we. We have business in the same space. And I think everybody's realizing that they got to start treating the water so as to reuse it, reduce water usage overall. We've heard about these terrible droughts and so forth. Kansas right now, in fact, is going through such a drought that they're literally liquidating entire wheat fields with Roundup because they don't think they can get the wheat. So we've got to do something about the water. And that's why Gradiant became a unicorn this last week. What's also special is that we created something called Water on Demand, which is the only way that regular people can invest in this exciting new space. Because you and me, we can't invest in Gradiant. You and me, we can't invest in 7Cs. That's Morgan Stanley Infrastructure Partners. We can't invest in Cambrian, which is also VC. But you and I can invest in water on demand, kind of like the same way people invest in an oil well. So all people have to do is go to waterondemand.net, click on Invest Now, and then they'll be talking to somebody you know very, very well, which is Ken Berenger, the co-creator of Water on Demand.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because we've talked before about how you've got this huge industry, water, that is changing dramatically, but people mostly can't take advantage of that with buying a stock or something like that. But this is a way they can have exposure to that, is with OriginClear, being an investor in there. And they just go to the website and look into it. They can get some information there.
Water now is becoming an investable asset with, the standard share of gross profits and so forth. The same way you might think of a oil well partnership, pretty much the same model. And what's happening is anytime you have a government monopoly that breaks up, you have tremendous opportunity. Remember the AT&T breakup resulted in MCI, the baby bells, but eventually the internet. We're seeing the same thing happen in water, and there's many, many more unicorn deals to come.
Okay. And let's talk about water tech and how you have acquired a tech system. So explain that acquisition and how that is strategically important to the company.
Well, it's an initial letter of intent, so it's non-binding. Imagine your municipal utility that deliver water and they take your dirty water and they bill you. And if you don't pay, then they cut you off and they have to meet certain standards. Well, imagine that all that scaled down to a business like a brewery, right? Well, you need to have the same functionality in an operating system that needs to happen for the private businesses that have the same problem. So we signed an initial letter of intent with a fine developer that has their own Fortune 500 customers. They've been around for almost 20 years. They're a great company, and we intend to let that business continue because it's not a bad business, and then use their expertise to build this operating system. But I caution that this deal may not happen because it's at the early stage, and it's certainly not going to happen for a few months, but we will be building. This is our stake in the ground. We have to have a software or high-tech or digital element to this network, not just hardware.
Okay. So yeah, even if this deal doesn't come to fruition, you're still looking at that software part of the business to execute what you want to do, basically. You just released your 10Q, your quarterly report. So let's talk a little business. Give me a summary of what that said.
I'm going to give you just the top line. First of all, revenue for the company OriginClear continued to grow. We nearly doubled Q1 of 2022 to Q1 of 2023 of this year. Revenue for the 3 months ending March 31st was 163% of the same quarter last year. It went from 2 million to roughly 2 million. So we're very happy about that. But what's even more important is the modular water systems business, which is these, water systems in a box that we've incubated since 2018. They contributed 58% of that. So it's actually contributing a bigger and bigger piece of that. And they're right on their forecast, and they're remaining profitable as a business center. Now, here's what's cool. Subsequently, we transferred modular water to water on demand. The basic concept is, if you're going to sell cars, how many $100,000 cars are sold for cash? Basically none, right? So you have a GM Financial, and then you have an extended warranty network. Well, we're replicating the same thing in water, where GM, is modular water systems. They build these assembly line water systems. GM Financial, quote unquote, would be the water on demand component of like, oh, you're a brewer, Jane. You need water treated here. Just sign here. We take care of it. No cash up front, or minimal cash up front. And then finally, continuous service contracts to make sure that it's up and running. We're replicating the same auto industry model in water. We published a presentation, an updated presentation, in which we made forecasts for water on demand, including modular water systems. And I covered it in my last CEO briefing. I strongly encourage interested people to join my weekly CEO briefing. We're now up to 212. And basically, we've done it since Zoom started. And all the people have to do is go to oc.gold/CEO. So oc.gold/CEO, or just go to originclear.com and we'll invite you there. Join me. We love to tell you the latest that's happening.
Yeah. Well, that's a great idea for people that are thinking about investing in water and don't know the space and want to learn more about the company and make sure it's what they want to do. They can go and get it straight from you. What's going on? So.
Well, not only that, they can get it from New to the Street from Jane King.
That's right. So, yes. Well, I just, provide the platform for you to tell your story. Always so interesting, Riggs, to hear about what OriginClear is doing. Thank you for joining us.